Brother, this question related to talaq. Let's say if a man has given his wife first talaq, how long is the iddah period? And then related to that, two more questions. Does the husband need his wife consents to take her back? And if a man and woman join back after giving the first talaq, do they need to make nikah?
If a man divorces his wife, then he has to utter just once, anti taliq. So he says to her, you are divorced. He must say this in front of two witnesses. And she must be pure from her menses, from her menstruation, and that he has not touched her, meaning that he has not had sexual intercourse with her. At that time, so long as she is pure from her menstruation and he has not had sexual contact with her, then he says to her, you are divorced, in front of two witnesses. Then that is considered as a talaq. He just utters it once, it is considered as a talaq. Then after 3 menstrual cycles, then they are no longer husband and wife. After she has had 3 menstrual cycles, and then the end of the 3rd cycle has come, and she is clean from her 3rd cycle, from her 3rd period, her 3rd menstrual cycle, then they are considered no longer to be husband and wife. Or if she is pregnant, up until the baby is born. Up until the baby is born and exited from her womb, then they are divorced. Now, in this period of time, meaning either inside of the 3 menstrual cycles, or up until the baby is born and it has not yet been born, a man may go back to his wife with 2 witnesses and take her back and say to her that I divorce you and now I take you back in front of these 2 witnesses. You are back with me. In which case she returns to being his wife. But that is considered as 1 strike of the divorce. If he then repeats that, let's say 6 months later or a year later or even 10 years later, then that would be considered as the 2nd divorce. Then let's say he takes her back within that 3 menstrual cycle period or before the baby is born if she is pregnant. If he takes her back, then he's allowed to take her back in the same way in front of 2 witnesses, and that would be considered as the 2nd strike of divorce. If he repeats that a couple of months later, a couple of weeks later, a year later, 10 years later, then that is considered as the 3rd talaq, and he is not allowed to return back to her. She is now, this is called the talaq ghair raj'i, the talaq of non-return. So he is not allowed to return back to her, and she is free to marry whomsoever he wishes, but not allowed to marry him. Not allowed to marry him. She is not permissible for him, and she must marry somebody else. If a man divorces his wife for the first time and he allows the 3 months to expire, the 3 menstrual cycles to expire, after the 3 cycles they are no longer married and he is not his wife, he is not her wife, she is not his wife, and he is not her husband. They are considered to be foreign to each other, and he is not allowed to be in her company. If after the first talaq, after that time, after that 3 months has passed, or the child has been born and they are no longer married, can he marry her? The answer is yes. He may go back to the father and ask him and say to him, I wish to marry your daughter. And if he agrees and she agrees, then he pays the dowry and they make a new contract of marriage. And he may marry her again. But that talaq is still counted as 1 strike. He may do that again after the 2nd talaq. But after the 3rd one, he is not allowed. And if a man was to say to his wife, after, for example, her menstrual cycle, in front of 2 witnesses, he says to her, Anti taliq, anti taliq, that you are divorced, you are divorced, you are divorced. If he was to say that 3 times, then that is considered as 1 talaq and not 3. If he was to divorce her and pronounce that word, anti taliq, you are divorced, while she is menstruating, then it is still classed as a divorce. It is still classed as a divorce, as 1 strike. However, he is sinful for divorcing her while she is menstruating. If he was to divorce her after having sexual relations with her after her period, meaning that he did not wait for the period and he did not wait for her to become pure, but rather he had sexual intercourse with her and then he divorced her, he is sinful, but the divorce is valid in the most correct opinion of the scholars. If he divorced her and there were no witnesses present, then that is considered as a divorce, even if there were no witnesses present and he is sinful. So all of those are some of the regulations pertaining to the issue of talaq. All of them are connected to the issues of talaq. Barakallahu feekum.
Brother, if he pronounced the talaq without the 2 witnesses, is it considered as talaq?
Yes. That's why I said that if a man was to divorce his wife in the absence of 2 witnesses, that is considered as a valid talaq and it is a strike of talaq, even without witnesses, even if she is bleeding, even if she is menstruating.
Okay.
That it is considered as a talaq. And if he takes her back without witnesses, then that is a taking back also, though he has violated the sunnah by not bringing witnesses. If he takes her back by having sexual relations, if a man has sexual relations with a woman that he pronounced the talaq upon, and that cancels the talaq, and that is counted as 1 strike of talaq, and his sexual act with her is an act that is considered to be a returning to her.